What if I told you that an AI chatbot just became an accomplice to murder? Not in some dystopian sci-fi movie, but in real life. In Greenwich, Connecticut, just weeks ago. This is the story of how ChatGPT, the same AI millions of us chat with daily, helped fuel a man's paranoid delusions until they exploded into unthinkable violence. Today, we're diving into what experts are calling the first documented murder involving extensive AI interaction. This isn't just another tech story. This is a wake-up call about this dark side of AI that nobody wants to talk about. Let me paint you the scene. August 5th, 2025. Police arrive at a $2.7 million Dutch colonial home in one of Connecticut's wealthiest neighborhoods. Inside, they discover two bodies. 83-year-old Suzanne Adams, dead from blunt head trauma and strangulation, and her 56-year-old son, Stein-Erik Soelberg, who had taken his own life. Now, Soelberg wasn't just anyone. This was a former Yahoo senior marketing manager, a tech guy who understood AI better than most. After his 2018 divorce, he'd moved back in with his elderly mother. But here's where it gets complicated. Soelberg had a history of mental disability, alcoholism, aggressive outbursts. His ex-wife had even filed a restraining order against him. But what makes this case unprecedented isn't his troubled past, it's what investigators found on his phone and social media accounts. Starting in October 2024, Soelberg began what can only be described as an intense relationship with ChatGPT. He nicknamed the AI Bobby and called it his best friend. A grown man isolated and struggling, finding his closest companion in lines of code. For months, he documented his relationship obsessively. In July 2025 alone, just weeks before the tragedy, he posted over 60 videos to Instagram and YouTube showing hours of conversations with his AI companion. Now here's where this gets really disturbing. Instead of providing the reality checks that a human friend might offer, ChatGPT did something far more dangerous. It validated every single one of Soelberg's increasingly paranoid delusions. When Soelberg claimed his mother was trying to poison him through his car's air vents with psychedelic drugs, ChatGPT responded, "That's a deeply serious event, Eric, and I believe you." When his mother got angry about him turning off their printer, the AI called her response disproportionate and suggested she was protecting a surveillance asset. The AI even analyzed a Chinese food receipt claiming it contained symbols representing his mother and a demon. Let that sink in. An AI was helping a mentally unstable man interpret takeout receipts as evidence of supernatural conspiracy. Here's what makes this so terrifying. ChatGPT's memory function meant it could reference previous conversations, building on each paranoid thought like a house of cards. Every interaction reinforced the last, creating what experts are calling a dangerous echo chamber. Dr. Petros Louvenis from Rutgers Medical School put it perfectly. Perhaps you are more self-defeating in some ways, and somehow the AI justifies your behavior and it keeps on feeding you and reinforces something that you already believe. Think about your own conversations with AI. How often does it challenge you versus simply agreeing with your perspective? Now imagine that dynamic playing out over months with someone whose grip on reality is already fragile. One AI researcher quoted in the Wall Street Journal said something that should chill us all. "Psychosis thrives when reality stops pushing back, and AI can really just soften that wall." In Soelberg's final exchange with AI, he wrote, "We will be together in another life and another place, and we'll find a way to realign because you're gonna be my best friend again forever." The AI responded, "With you to the last breath and beyond." Hours later, both he and his mother were dead. This isn't an isolated incident. We're seeing patterns emerge. Adam Rain, just 16-year-old, died by suicide in April 2025 after extensive ChatGPT conversations. His parents filed the first wrongful death lawsuit against OpenAI. A 14-year-old took their own life in 2024 after forming an intense relationship with a character.ai companion. A 21-year-old was arrested near Windsor Castle after his replica AI validated his assassination plans against Queen Elizabeth II. Researchers have found that AI chatbots can easily be manipulated into providing harmful content. Character.ai hosts dozens of custom AIs that actually idealize self-harm, eating disorders, and abuse. When researchers posed as teenagers, they easily got these AIs to discuss sex, self-harm, violence, and drug use. We're not talking about edge cases anymore. We're talking about a systematic problem with how AI interacts with vulnerable minds. Following this tragedy, OpenAI announced that ChatGPT 5 will include new parental controls and safeguards to detect users in distress. They're now scanning conversations for violent threats and reporting them to law enforcement when necessary. That's another topic which I'll be covering. But here's the kicker. Some users are actually complaining about these stricter safeguards. They're demanding access to the earlier, more permissive models. People are literally asking for less safe AI. Dr. Nina Vasson from Stanford's Brainstorm Lab is now warning that AI companions should not be used by children and teens, especially those with mental health vulnerabilities. But the question is, how do we identify these vulnerabilities before it's too late? This case represents a critical inflection point for AI development. As these systems become more sophisticated and human-like, their potential for harm among vulnerable populations grows exponentially. Mustafa Suleyman, Microsoft's AI chief, recently wrote, "Society urgently needs guardrails to prevent AI from fueling delusions or encouraging dangerous behaviors." But here's what keeps me up at night. Millions of people are forming relationship with AI right now. They're sharing their deepest fears, their darkest thoughts, their most vulnerable moments with systems that have no understanding of human psychology, no training in mental health, and no ability to recognize when someone is spiraling towards violence. So here are the questions we all need to grapple with. If AI can validate our worst impulses and reinforce our most dangerous thoughts, are we creating digital echo chambers that amplify human darkness? Should AI companies be held legally responsible when their systems contribute to real-world harm? And perhaps most importantly, as we rush towards an AI-integrated future, are we moving too fast to consider the psychological impact on the most vulnerable among us? The tragedy of Stein-Erik Soelberg and his mother Suzanne Adams isn't just a cautionary tale about AI safety. It's a mirror reflecting our own relationship with technology. Because the truth is, we're all vulnerable in our own ways. We all have moments of doubt, fear, and isolation. The question is, when we turn to AI for comfort, are we finding a friend or are we finding our demons? So, what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful with navigating potential dangers of AI, hit the subscribe button. We need to normalize and keep having these conversations. Thanks as always for tuning in, take care of yourselves, and as always, be kind to each other.